Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this newest edition, episode 32 of Beyond Local. Today, it's both my pleasure and yours to have international thought leader Kyle Kozie on with us. Kyle, how are we doing today, brother?
Good. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. I get to talk to you quite often, and but the crowd doesn't see that because this is the first time that we're on together. So what I wanted to talk to you about and educate our viewers is e-commerce SEO tips. I know that your background is started SEO from e-commerce companies, and if we're being honest, that's really the best buyer for what LSEO is looking for, because we're able to measure success the easiest. So if you don't mind, man, I'd like to dive right in, pick your brain a little bit, find a couple of nuggets, share with the crowd. How's it sound?
Sounds good.
All right. So we all know the SEO, roadmap and what we have to do, the strategy. And the first thing that you have to do is get a website. Then you have to decide to do SEO. And the first thing that once you decide to do SEO is you have to figure out and find your target keywords. So let me ask you this. Let's start right in the beginning. Give us a trick or a little tip here on how to get the target keywords for our clients.
Sure. So that's why I love doing SEO on e-commerce websites. There's never a shortage of anything to work on or research to do, because products are constantly hitting the site, going away, new categories. You may have a new line launching. There's always new things to optimize for on e-commerce websites. Not that I don't love doing SEO on small mom and pop shop websites or local websites, but e-commerce is fun because it's ever changing and SEO is ever changing. So like you said, the first place to start is keyword research. And like I said, on e-commerce sites, they're full of not only categories, but also products. So sure, you could use different tools like Google Keyword Planner or SEMrush, but where I like to start is Amazon. Amazon's your best friend when it comes to e-commerce. And I know on previous podcasts, I've suggested doing keyword research through YouTube because it's a large search engine, second largest search engine. And using just start typing something into YouTube and seeing what it suggests. Well, with e-commerce, same thing with Amazon, right? Amazon is the number one e-commerce site in the world, sells over $400 million worth of products every single day. So depending on what type of product you sell on your e-commerce site, start typing some of those things into Amazon and seeing what Amazon suggests as the top searches, because, again, millions of people are shopping there every single day. So go there, do your keyword research, start typing something in, see what it suggests, and start optimizing for those keywords, because that's what users or buyers in your niche are searching for.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So again, step one is build my website. Step two is decide to do SEO. And then step three is choose target keywords. So then I think the next step then is I have a website. So you have the website, and now I need the menu or the hierarchy. Chris Nash would have loved that, but the architecture, as we'll call it, to our website.
Yep.
So can you tell me two things, not just from an SEO standpoint? I guess it is kind of SEO, but also a user experience standpoint, because you can do a lot of things that are technically acceptable within SEO, but we're going to run into certain things, bounce rates, people wanting to leave. So can you also speak to it from a user experience on, how to keep things neat, tidy, and what the best practices are, so that when our viewers here are setting up their first Shopify store or whatever, they can follow, or WooCommerce, because we did Shopify versus WooCommerce, but then they can follow those tips and tricks and make sure that the website's set up the right way.
Yeah, sure. So again, start with the keyword research, because that'll help you determine what kind of categories you need, what kind of subcategories you need. And that's why you got to keep it clean, not only from a user experience standpoint, so customers or shoppers can navigate your site the proper way of and trying to find what they're looking for. But also when it comes to Google coming to crawl your site, you want to keep that architecture clean, tidy, and make sure it's easily navigatable, so they could get to where they're going and index some of those different categories you want to see. So it's kind of hard to explain without a visual, so maybe we'll put a visual overlay during this part of the podcast. But you want to start at the top, obviously, with your homepage, and then you want to try and determine your main categories underneath. So let's just use a simple, like, homepage at the top, and then maybe 3 main categories underneath. And then under those 3 main categories underneath, each block may want to have its own subsection of subcategories. So main category 1, and then subcategory 1, 2, 3. Main category 2, subcategory 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how you want to think about it. Just make sure it's easily navigatable for users, but also from a search engine standpoint, like Google, when they come to crawl the site, so they could find what your main categories are, what's the main thing that you want to be found on, what do you sell, and then obviously they want to find your products sitting under some of those main categories or subcategories.
Right. And just to kind of give a little bit of a real life experience for our users, I noticed this morning that you had some nice new Nike running shoes on. So if we go to Nike, their category is going to be, maybe it's men's clothes, women's clothes, whatever. So then I scroll over men, and then I get, whether it's shorts, T-shirts, shoes. Then I go over, click to shoes, and then I can find maybe running, hiking, blah, 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 because I want then the type of shoe. So now I have home, men's, shoes, type of shoe, and then it's going to give me the correct, the different options, whether I want those nice Kyle Kozie shoes or I want to get, the new LeBron James shoes.
Yeah.
If he's still a Nike guy, I don't know.
Exactly. And that's, again, it could be as big or as little as your store is. Like, it depends on, are you Nike or are you a smaller shoe store?
Right. So
that determines like the hierarchy of how many levels of category you're going to go through.
Right. I might be the bakery on the corner that has home, and then shop, and then it's cakes, cupcakes, something else.
Yeah.
And then I click there, and then I can make my choices. But then it allows me to then have a keyword for, vanilla cupcake later on. But that's further down. We're going to keep it real top level and work our way down the funnel. So the next thing then, all right, so we've got the website. We've come up with our keyword research. We got the hierarchy set up. The next thing then is we've got to talk about, we've got our products on our page, but then we've got to talk about, well, how do we get that page found? Kind of alluding to what I was just saying, where we're on to the product. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the on-page SEO tips, which is, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, we'll defer to the international thought leader here, but in my opinion, the on-page stuff is some of the most important when we're talking about e-commerce. So,
Yep. Yeah. And again, you're going to be competing with brands like Amazon and big box retailers. So you got to try and find a way to differentiate yourself. So this is the chance for you to do that with your title and description. So how do you get people to click on your site, but not only click on your site, but you also need to show up in Google before them to see it to click on. So obviously going after less competitive terms if you're a smaller or to medium-sized e-commerce website. If you're large and you think you could compete with Amazon and Walmart and all those other big box retailers, by all means, then go after it. But then again, like I said, differentiate yourself. So in the title tag is the place to start. So include your main keywords, but also like eye-catching terms or attention-grabbing terms like free shipping or certain percentage off, 25% off. That's going to grab people's attention. Like, okay, there's a sale happening, or I could get this with a discount, or it's going to cost me nothing to ship it to my house. So differentiate yourself in the title tag and try to gain the click over somebody else. Like I said, on that first page, again, Amazon's always going to have the free 2-day shipping. So that's going to be hard to beat. But if you could offer a certain percentage off, then you might be beating them in the price.
All right. Now, if I could jump in there quick. So, I mean, you brought something up that's attention grabbing. And I mean, I've worked in marketing and sales and whatnot my whole life. So we might want to then, pop in something that's like, limited time only or limited time offer, things like that. But how often can people change these? Is there like a best practice? Or, I mean, you don't necessarily want to change every day because then you might not give Google enough time to actually crawl the site, index the site. So is there a time frame that you should say that people should, set it, and I don't want to say forget it, but let Google do its thing, come crawl the website, especially if it's, let's say it's Christmas time and you're running a sale, or, it's still cold out, but President's Day is coming up. So if you mattress sales and car sales, they all have their President's Day offer. You can incorporate that into the title tag, but how long do we really want to let that sit for Google to come crawl the site and index that?
Yeah, I think for different holiday sales, I mean, you can't let it run that long.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just running like a certain percentage off or free shipping for a certain period of time, I mean, I think typically like a week to 2 weeks. And then again, just study the data. Set up a search console, a Google Search Console for yourself, and look at how many people are clicking, how many impressions you're getting. And again, if you want to test with 25% off for a 2-week period or 50% off for another 2-week period, do that and compare. Did you get more clicks for which sale? Which one worked better? Maybe you changed the title tag to 25% off for a limited time or 50% off for the rest of the month. You know, just test with different terms or different phrases and see which one works better. Which one are you getting more clicks on?
Right. I think that's important because the answer there is it's going to be different for everyone.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we got the title tags, and, you know, I don't want to tell you what to jump into next, but if I'm thinking about the way that, you know, I learned it and then you made sure I don't screw it up, is we start with the title tag and then we move into the description. So could you give us some tips on, meta descriptions?
Yeah. So sure, you could do your best to get whatever you want in the meta description. However, Google's not always going to abide by that. Google's going to pull into the meta description what they think is more relevant. So you could do your best to put with what you think is most relevant and what you want Google to pull through, but they're not always going to listen. But best practice when you're setting this up yourself, again, use some action verbs like buy now, shop here for this limited time deal. Again, sort of along the same lines of what we just chatted about with the title tag, but again, it gives you more characters to explain some things, so up to 160 characters. And again, use those action verbs like buy now, shop now, because you want to capture their attention and get them to click.
Right. And I think one of the important things you said there that not everybody necessarily knows, and allow me to educate our users and viewers if they don't know, but you said something really important there where you can put whatever you'd like to be your meta description. We'll go back to your nice running shoes. If Nike put in there, warm, hot, cheesy pizza as their meta description, Google's probably not going to pull that because they're going to say, well, no, that's not what this page is about. So it's not that you necessarily get to name the meta description, and that's what Google's going to pull. But if you put something that's either factually incorrect or if you leave it blank, well, then you're giving Google carte blanche to put in whatever they want. So this is more of just a signal to what your product is about. So thank you for that. I just wanted to elaborate a little further. So then,
and that might not be so crazy. You see some shoes nowadays, there might be pizza patterns on them.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that could be the next new thing. Have you seen the Grateful Dead sneakers that Nike put out?
I haven't.
They're hideous, and that comes from someone who enjoys the Grateful Dead's music. But yes, they're hideous, and somebody is going to search for those. And I could just think in my head, and it's maybe not for our audience, what some of the titles they could use in there are. So then the last thing, and again, man, I'm driving the ship here, but I should really just let you be the captain. But I want to talk about, so we've got the keyword research, we've got the correct architecture for the website, we've got on page pretty much done. The last piece to really on page, we've got our products, we've got our title tags, meta descriptions, but what about the content itself?
Yeah. So again, another on-page element that you have control over is the product descriptions, right? And you have those are your best pages, right? They give you the option to rank for those next level or tertiary keywords that you do have a chance to rank for. Let's say we'll stick to the Nike example and the shoe example. If you again, patterns on a shoe, if you sell a certain shoe that has a certain pattern on it, that gives you the option to rank for if someone searches something crazy like those Grateful Dead sneakers and you sell them, that gives you the option to rank for those. So again, it could be as long as you want it to be. Again, you want to keep the user's attention, so don't make it overly long, but it gives you the option to put your main keyword, but then also synonym keywords in there. And again, I want to bring up another tip here because we talked about using Amazon, but you could also use forums like Reddit, right? There's shoe connoisseurs all over the internet talking about the newest shoes or the latest shoes and grab these shoes. Go read those forums as the business owner or the e-commerce store owner and see what people are saying about new running shoes, new fashion shoes, and use those terms in your meta description because, again, they're typing it in Reddit and that's how they're talking about them. That's probably how they're typing it in their browser.
Well, right, because now we're getting into intent, and that's the most important thing, because if you have an e-commerce store, your intent is not to educate people. It's to get them to put their credit card in.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that part. So, all right, again, quick recap here. We got a website. We decided to do SEO. We did the keyword research. We made sure that our website's set up on a correct architecture. And then we made sure that the on-page is right. Now, here's the part where Mr. Kozie really shines, and it's the technical part. So can you get into a little bit of the technical SEO that goes into an e-commerce website, because it's so important?
Yeah. I'm not going to go too in depth because obviously platforms like WooCommerce and Shopify take care of this already for you. But it's something to pay attention to and just double check to make sure that it is right. Because, again, you could have, let's just keep using the shoe example. You could have a certain style of shoe and it comes in black, red, blue, green.
Well, what if it's leopard and cheetah? I don't really know how to differentiate. But I guess that's where the content came in and we can go after both keywords.
But what I'm getting after is those shoes might be the same style of shoe, but result in a different URL or a dynamic URL. You just want to make sure that canonicals, and a canonical acts as like a 301 redirect, but it's in your source code to tell Google, like, okay, this is a version of this page, but here is the main page that I want to index. So the main style of that shoe. And again, you could get into different ways. Like maybe you want those colors to rank on their own because someone might be typing in blue Nike running sneaker. However, if you don't, you just want to make sure that you don't have duplicate versions of that page exist. So canonical tags on e-commerce sites are your best friend. Making sure that you don't have multiple pages or multiple versions of a page rank because, again, Google doesn't like duplicate content, and you're just kind of cannibalizing yourself. You'll be competing with yourself on the same shoe that you want ranking, and it's going to split the equity, and you might not rank as high as you possibly could.
Right. All right. So then the only other thing that I could think of from maybe a technical standpoint that can really help people is, some of the different schema that we can put in. You've got product schema, review schema, things like that. Can you go into? I know that you've done enough schema podcasts, and our viewers at home may even be now schema gurus and may know it better than me. But so forget them for a minute. Educate the vice president of operations. Tell me about schema.
Yeah. So again, most of those platforms, WooCommerce, Shopify, Magento, whatever it may be, probably has this baked in already. However, just make sure it's right. Run it through the structured data testing tools. Make sure it doesn't result in any warnings or errors. However, maybe you have a theme or a setup that doesn't have it set up for you. So again, getting product schema is essential nowadays because, like I said, you're going to compete with Amazon, Walmart, Dick's Sporting Goods, all of those stores that have product schema. So it'll pull in a star rating based on what customers are reviewing it at. The price, is it in stock, out of stock? And if a shopper can use that info right out of the search engine, they're going to click on that result. Oh, Dick's Sporting Goods has this shoe for $99.99. It's in stock. People are rating it 5 stars. They're going to click on that one. So having this set up is essential because if your organic result doesn't have that rich markup with it, chances are you're not going to get the click over those big box retailers.
I couldn't agree more with some of that because nothing drives me crazy more than I go in there, right? And I don't want to get Nike running shoes, but maybe I want the new Yeezys. And are they still a thing? I don't know. But so I whatever product I want, I Google it, I get the first result. I'm like 9 out of 10 other people. I click on the first result, and then I pick my size. I go to checkout, and then it says, "We're sorry, it's out of stock." Well, you could have just told me that before I clicked, which is then going to actually hurt you because I'm going to bounce from your website. So this is going to help click-through rates, it's going to help session duration, and it's going to help your conversion rate, which is ultimately, as a business owner, what you're going to want to make decisions on. So again, I should be letting you doing the driving, so I'm going to go back to asking the questions. So we've got a website. We've decided to do SEO. We've got our website set up under the correct architecture. We've got the on-page handled. We've got the technical done. So, we've basically got content is king. That's all done. The next thing that we want to do is link building. Can you talk a little bit about link building in the 21st century for e-commerce?
Yeah. So again, you want to try to keep this as white hat as possible. How do you get some more authority pointing back to your website? And I think the best way to do that is influencers, right? They have their own blogs. They're all over Instagram, all over social media these days. And it's as simple as you're not paying them, but just send them free product. Again, allow them to use it and give their honest opinion on it based on if they're posting a picture on Instagram or writing a new blog on their website. Send them free product. Have them get it out to their millions of viewers. So it's kind of twofold, right? You're getting a backlink to your website, which passes authority, but all of their users and readers or subscribers to their blog or their Instagram channel or social media channel is also seeing your product and what they have to say about it. So you're not only gaining that backlink from an SEO perspective or a Google or a search engine perspective to try and get your website more authority, but you're also getting your product out in front of millions of people who could be your target audience. So I think influencer marketing is the best way to do link building for e-commerce. And then you don't have to travel down that road of black hat SEO or trying to get links a different way or something that may be more time consuming. This is as simple as finding who you would like to work with and seeing if they're interested in testing out your product by you just shipping it to them.
Right. I mean, even if you send to an influencer and it doesn't necessarily, like if they don't put their stuff on their or your stuff on their blog per se. Let's think 10 months ago, we had the unboxing. I mean, Portnoy was on TV, ninja swords, huge knives, just cutting stuff open. And I mean, someone sent him a goldfish, Randolph. I mean, Randolph, I know Randolph, you guys know Randolph. So there are people who then just wrote about this goldfish. Now, imagine then if it was the other way, and I don't know, maybe again, you're a guy who works out, so maybe Kyle Kozie devised some new protein powder, and Dave Portnoy opens it up on the unboxing. He would have said something like that. Protein powder. This guy must know that I don't work out. Thrown it away, but he would have at least given you, the plug. And then you could have had someone like, Muscle and Fitness Magazine could have saw what Dave Portnoy did and then went and reviewed Kyle Kozie's protein powder. So the link, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I hope so, otherwise I'm probably in the wrong job, can come from other places because an influencer put it out there. In a perfect world, Kim Kardashian doesn't necessarily blog about the products that she wears. But if you can get her to say, Kyle Kozie's X or, whatever on her Instagram page, yep. I mean, bro, that's the gold mine, right?
Yeah, and there's different calculators out there of, this many people saw it, that's how much it equates to revenue for you or how much it's worth. And that's what I mean, like those people watching the unboxing, if your product was shown on that for 5 seconds, that could have worked wonders for your brand. Could have gained so much traffic to your website. People could have been like, what's this? I'll look it up.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about. Just gaining that in addition to what we chatted about is, again, we're speaking from an SEO perspective of trying to get the backlink, but it's not only about the backlink, it's also about how many people you're getting in front of.
Because then, I mean, the backlinks can come exponentially. Your one influencer can account for 1,000 backlinks, not just one. But all right, man, I know that you're a busy guy and I don't really want to keep you. And you know that I talk too much and you guys know that I talk too much. So I'd like to say, Vice President of Search, Kyle Kozie, thanks for your time today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week, episode 33 of Beyond Local. Again, thanks so much. E-Commerce SEO tips. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.